We're joined with James Sykes. You are the CEO of Baselode to discuss the case for investors and why investors should be paying attention to uranium. A good man, welcome.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
And pleasure to have you. It's been a great conference so far. Excited about PDAC and everything it brings to the industry, and just for investors to be able to find new companies like we're doing today. And I've got a very simple question I'd like to start off with. Why uranium?
Why not? It's not a simple enough answer. Uranium, it's all about clean energy.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people are really understand it. But when you look at and do a deep dive on energy resources that we have available to us in society, uranium, nuclear energy, is by far the cleanest, safest, most efficient energy that we have available to us. And with a lot of the governments mandating that we meet these CO2 climate, concentrations, and we're supposed to bring the CO2 levels down.
Yeah.
Nuclear energy is by far one of the best energy sources. Mm-hmm. And we can see the fundamentals changing in the space as it is. Demand is through the roof. Nuclear energy demand has never been this high. Uranium demand has never been this high. And the supply side is probably at some of the lowest levels it's ever been at. Mm. So there's a big supply-demand disparity, and a lot of the people who are invested into uranium and who know the space have always said that post-Fukushima, it's not a question of if uranium would come back, it was a question of when. And we're starting to see that now. If this were a ball game, we're probably in the third inning.
Wow.
So we've still got a long way to go, and it's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, and speaking about that supply crunch as well, in terms of what your company is doing, what are you doing to help with that supply crunch? But also, you're currently exploring in an area where your exploration strategy is being dubbed the Athabasca 2.0. What do you mean by that? And can you discuss some of the projects that you're working on as well?
Well, Athabasca 2.0 is an exploration strategy to find what we consider to be economic uranium deposits. Mm-hmm. As you can see on the image here, there are a lot of gray dots that are all discoveries. But when you see the big red dots, those are what have been in operation. Mm. And it's the ones that are on the edges or in the basement rocks of the Athabasca area that have gone into production. Only two have gone into production within the sandstone. And that's McArthur River and Cigar Lake, both because they're over 20% average grade, and they're both over 300 million pounds. So these are the biggest uranium deposits in the world. They're the most valuable commodity of anything, and this is why people love the Athabasca, because the value of the rock is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But history shows that they're hard to extract from unless you don't have that sandstone. Because that sandstone is an issue. It's an aquifer. It's flowing aquifer. Both of those mines flooded twice. Mm. So they actually have to freeze the sandstone above all the ore. And that's a 24/7 operation, 365 days a year, constantly freezing the rocks above the ore so they can mine it safely.
Yeah.
You don't have that problems with open pits.
Interesting.
So we've gone back, in a sense, Athabasca 2.0 should be really Athabasca 0.0, because we're going back to the roots.
Yeah.
But where we differ, and you can see our projects are quite a ways out of the basin, mm-hmm. is we believe that this basin plateaued, and it was a lot larger and came down over these projects back when it originally formed. But throughout billions of years of geological processes and glaciations, everything gets removed, and that's what we see today.
Interesting.
So if this basin was a lot larger, all of these projects therefore become prospective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your Accio is the flagship project, the one that you're putting your most focus on. Can you talk about that one a little bit more?
Yeah, Accio it's a near-surface basement-hosted deposit. It's exactly what we set out to find. It has open-pit qualities to it. Mineralization is starting as shallow as 25 meters beneath the surface.
Okay.
To put that into context, Canadians know hockey.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure almost every Canadian has seen a hockey rink and watched the NHL. The width of a hockey rink is 25 meters. Mm. So when you consider that you're at surface, and 25 meters beneath that, we have mineralization.
Yeah.
Everything in between is what we call overburden. So it's not rock that you have to blast. You can scrape all of that away with heavy equipment. That's a process that can be done in less than 12 months. So you remove everything and you've got mineralization exposed at the bedrock surface, that's a positive mining scenario.
Yeah.
You don't have to dig 500 meters down to sink your shaft. Mineralization is right there. So it's near surface, high grade. We've seen plenty of high grade intervals in this. Typically we see over 1%. Grades vary between 0.05 and greater than 1%. We consider this to be a high grade deposit because the average grade that we do see, which is about 0.3, 0.35, is much higher than the global average grade of 0.1. So we're three times the concentration of a global uranium deposit. So considered high grade. And it has the size to it. You can see multiple pods here. It measures about 315 meters long. It's about 175 meters wide, and it's still open to the west, where you can see a tiny little sliver of mineralization there that we have wide open.
Yep.
And we've got other targets to the southwest and to the southeast. So there's a lot of exploration to be done at Accio. But as I mentioned, this has all of the characteristics required for open pit mining. That's Athabasca 2.0 in a nutshell. This is exactly what we set out to find. This was our thesis manifest. So we're very happy to have that, and hopefully this can fit with the supply that is needed for nuclear energy in the future.
Yeah, and obviously when you have all of this, the right things lining up for you, you're able to get to it very easily. You prove out a resource. What you need, though, as well, is the infrastructure, the ability to put that into production, the ability for your roads, your electrical cords, whatever it be. Can you explain what you have for your company? I believe you've got a slide here as well to go through that, where you can show just exactly how easily you can line this.
Yeah, and to even start before the infrastructure, the idea behind Athabasca 2.0 was about finding deposits that require low capex and low operating expenditures. So that's Athabasca 2.0. And the other part of what we were looking for is having the right projects in the right area. So we wanted to focus on the mill that we know is in the area, and there's another mill up here.
Yeah.
So if you can have a discovery and not have to build a mill, your capex is reduced even further.
Absolutely.
So all of our projects are staked within these areas. Accio is 30 kilometers away from a haul road that supplies McArthur River down to Key Lake. So you put in a 30-kilometer road is not that difficult. We're not out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
This is Saskatchewan as well, which knows how to deal with uranium. The processes have all been established. The permitting side has all been established. There's no reinventing the wheel. There's no inventing the wheel in this area. So everything works well. There's a power line that comes up right through here to supply Key Lake and McArthur. There's an airstrip over here. We're also 30 kilometers away from this highway as well. So we're right in the middle of perfect infrastructure. But the idea to move forward and eventually develop this would be to put in a road to the McArthur River Haul Road and then ship down to the Key Lake Mill, which does have capacity.
No, I appreciate it, and thank you for going through all of that. And I'm sure investors can hear about all these different things, and everything is sounding good. They want to know, okay, what's next? What are those next steps? If you don't mind just letting investors know, what should they be excited about in the weeks and months to come from your company?
News, lots of news. So we're getting back to Accio in about May or June of this year. Once the snow melts, we'll have a helicopter-supported operation, and we will continue drilling out Accio. We'd like to get it to an indicated resource by Q4 of this year or even Q1 of next year. Hopefully we can hit Q4 of this year. But we're really going to push hard to get to that resource estimate. What we've kind of figured on our end is that we don't require the same amount of meters as we drilled last year. We drilled 20,000 meters. So we figure about 10,000 meters will get us to that resource estimate. We would like to do some additional exploration on Hook while we're out in the area. So the Hook project, which hosts Accio. All of that obviously depends on funding. It's junior exploration. But just to get to the Accio part of the resource, 10,000 meters. So it should be a pretty feasible project. Now we do have cash in the bank right now that will get us started on Accio. We also completed a drill program recently on our Catharsis project, the first ever drill program on Catharsis. We're very happy with the results there. We're just going to wait on the news. We're waiting on the geochemical results. Plus we've done some additional studies to help us investigate uranium fertility and uranium flow within the area. So if we can prove that up, and I think we'll blow the roof off of Catharsis, and it'll be a wonderful project for many years. But everything moving forward for the rest of this year is all going to be focused on Accio.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate very much, James, for your time. And it's exciting to learn more about your company as well. Really quickly, for those who may be watching this and wanting to find out more information, where can they turn for more information on your company?
They can definitely reach out. My email is available, jsykes@orgroup.ca. You can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on LinkedIn. And we do have some educational videos that we put up on YouTube. It's on the Or Group YouTube channel. I would recommend a lot of people who are just interested in learning more about the uranium space and uranium exploration within the Athabasca Basin to look at some of those videos. I've received a lot of positive comments that they are very educational and helped a lot of non-geologists learn more about this area.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I appreciate it very much. And that's what we stand for. If you can provide more education to investors, they can understand the investment that they're going to more, I think you just get a better investor.
Absolutely.
10 out of 10 times.
Well, that was kind of the idea behind it, is we didn't want investors just to throw money into the company and be like, okay, I hope they go up.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring them along the ride and be a part of the company.
Yeah.
So they're seeing why we like these targets. They're getting into our head and being able to follow along with every step that we're doing. We're very transparent with what we do. And so we think that just adds a lot of positive value to what we stand for.
Absolutely, it does. And I appreciate that very much. Well, James, I appreciate your time and look forward to hearing more about your company and keeping in tune for everything that you're doing.
Thanks a lot, Brendan.
Thank you.